Liz, how are you?
Good. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Doing well. Actually, this is the kind of our third session where we're, and we spent a lot of time talking about a lot of things. So I thought it'd be really helpful to kind of wrap up some of the things that we've been talking about and reviewing. And as I've been, you've shared so much of all the things that have gone on for you, from currently and, in terms of like catching us up to what's been going on. I wanted to just kind of like share with you some of my thoughts about what's been happening with your eating. As I've been thinking about it, I'm really thinking that, okay, here's how I've been thinking about it. Okay, you've had a really kind of a long history here with, your parents' divorce, you move schools, then there's high school, your grandma passes away, your mom marries Bruce, and then she gets divorced from Bruce. You move on into college. Brooke then emerges not only like from like having you take care of her, and you even use the words like you feel like you kind of raised her, and then and now you've really developed a really close relationship with her. I know we spent even last session talking about how close the two of you have become, which has been kind of a really nice thing, and also too how your mom has really tried to reconnect with you. And I think the thing that kind of has come up for me over and over again as we've talked, it seems like the times when you're binging and vomiting, or kind of like your binge eating has been at its worst, and the times when you've been most like distressed about your shape and your weight have really been in and around the times when you've been having lots of conflict, particularly conflict with your mom. Because, it really wasn't so much the transition like into high school or the changes that you've made. And even when your grandmother passed away, that was a really difficult time for you. But it sounds like you, with your dad and with, even with Julia, because I know we talked a little bit about that, how you'd gotten a lot of support, and that really didn't have a negative impact on your eating. But it's really been, the ongoing distress and conflict with your mom, feeling really frustrated with her, feeling really put upon, with the role that you had to take on with kind of like raising Brooke. And in many ways, it's not unlike kind of what's been going on currently with Kathy. I mean, I know it's kind of a stretch, but in some respects, I mean, think about it. It's like, here's a person who's really, not really mindful of you, not really mindful of your feelings. In many respects, really puts a lot on you, having the boyfriend over all the time. I even know that you were talking about, just the last time we met, how messy she leaves the apartment, that she doesn't really pick up on the fact that it's really frustrating for you. And those are times too when you find yourself, kind of locked in the room, or after she goes to bed, where you find yourself eating a lot. Yeah. So it seems to me, at least in terms of how we've kind of mapped things out, that seems pretty clear that that's been what's involved in, your binge eating. I mean, granted, you've obviously you do a lot of dieting and you do a lot of restricting, but it seems the times when it's really been the worst for you have been those times. I'm not really sure as I'm talking about if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. That seems.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty clear. It seemed pretty clear to me, and I know that as we've been talking about it and kind of putting the pieces together, it seems like that might be one of the things that's really been kind of driving it. Okay, well, that's helpful, because that's, as I was kind of thinking about it and kind of going back through, that theme just kind of kept coming up over and over again, with your mom, and then in high school. And I know that even the stress that you were going under when you were transitioning to college, and how she was trying to reach out to you, and then, the kind of disconnect that you felt from her. And that makes a lot of sense. So based on that, I think it would be really helpful if we thought about our work together is really centering around helping you kind of manage these conflictual situations more effectively. In particular, I was thinking about your roommate. And I know that we were talking last time about whether or not you wanted to reconnect with your mom. I know that she's been really reaching out to you, and it seems like you've been kind of ambivalent about that.
Yeah, I mean, like at some point, I guess it'd be nice, but it's tough.
Right, because it seems like there's been kind of, a lot of water under the bridge with the two of you. But I know how much you really care about Brooke, and since, Brooke and your mom are together, that, obviously that's something that you're really having to think about a lot.
Yeah, definitely for Brooke, to have a better relationship with.
Right. So I think one of the things that we might want to really get you thinking about is, okay, how can we help you feel more effective in your relationships? Because even still, it seems like you have a really difficult time talking directly with your roommate. And I know that you have a really hard time, even though you've been more vocal with your mom, it seems like that your vocal interactions are more arguments rather than really finding constructive ways to manage your feelings. And so I think that would be a real helpful thing for us to really work on. The reason why I'm doing this is that, and one of the things that I had talked with you about before is that since you're binge eating and is so kind of linked to these conflictual situations, I think what's going to happen is the more that we work on kind of the way you manage conflict and the way that you manage your feelings, it's going to have a real positive effect on your eating. And I think as we start working on this, you'll begin to notice real changes in how you use food, because obviously food's been a way for you to kind of, and you even talked about it, it feels good, it's a way for you to disconnect, and it's been a way for you, I think even a couple times you mentioned how it really kind of took the edge off, and made you feel a little bit better. And so I think as we help you manage that conflict a little bit more effectively, or some of those feelings a little bit more effectively, I think it's going to really, help with your eating. How does that?
I mean, yeah, I definitely want
Okay.
to be better about all of it.
Okay, so then this kind of marks kind of the end of our kind of investigation of like what's been going on with your binge eating. And so now we're going to really, even though we've been really working in therapy or in treatment together, we're going to start shifting a little bit. And so now, when you come in, I think what we're really going to start focusing on is having you really start doing some of the things outside of here that we can start working on to help you, make some changes. So one of the things I was thinking about first was having you start being a little bit more aware of some of the things that you're feeling, because it seems like when you're getting ready to binge eat, or when you're kind of in conflict, it seems like I think you described it, that your feelings kind of get a little jumbled up. You don't really know what's going on. You just know that you feel kind of like frustrated and you don't really know what to do, and you turn to food. So I think that's one of the things I'd like to have us talk about. And then maybe some more effective ways for you to be able to, talk with your roommate, and then maybe we could use that then as a model that you could then, maybe we could, kind of help you make some changes in the way in which you interact with your mom. And so we'll start, kind of like little at a time, because obviously, Rome wasn't built in a day. So, but we'll take that kind of approach and see if that's helpful, because I think it will be. And even I've really noticed, even in here, even the last couple sessions, you're making more eye contact with me. You seem like that you're able to have more direct conversation with me, which has really been nice. Because it sounds like that that was kind of one of the things that you had talked about, that it's really been hard for you, in terms of your feelings, and feeling really disconnected and feeling really down about stuff. And I'm feeling really hopeful along with you that this is going to be, this is a good path for us to go.